let's talk about Mercedes Moné, the powerhouse, the headline magnet, the self-proclaimed CEO, and the growing swirl of rumors surrounding her run in AEW. From the moment she stepped through those curtains, the buzz was instant, not just because of who she is, but because of what followed. She's been undefeated, her presence has been loud, her impact, undeniable, but it's that undefeated streak, that dominance, that has everyone asking the same burning question: does Mercedes Moné have creative control over her wins in AEW? Is this all part of a cleverly negotiated contract, or are fans just reading too much into her boss persona? The speculation is wild, the opinions divided, and the truth, well, it's layered. Today, we're diving into what's really going on behind the scenes and whether the claims about Mercedes Moné's backstage power actually hold any weight. The chatter didn't start quietly. From the very first win she secured in AEW, fans began talking. Some were impressed, others suspicious. They saw the pattern and connected the dots. Mercedes doesn't lose. And when someone doesn't lose in pro wrestling, especially in a promotion like AEW where booking often reflects internal momentum, it doesn't take long for whispers to turn into accusations. Suddenly, the theory became common: she has creative control. She's calling her own shots. She decides who wins, who loses, and more importantly, when she walks away with the spotlight. For some fans, it sounded like an echo from the past, a throwback to the era when stars like Hulk Hogan famously wielded creative power to protect their image. Mercedes being positioned as a top star? Sure, but never taking a loss? That's where the debate began to heat up. But recently, a new voice entered the conversation, a voice that's hard to ignore. Fightful Select, one of the most reliable wrestling news outlets out there, published a detailed report addressing the rumors directly, and according to their sources, the truth is far simpler than the narrative swirling online. The people they spoke to, both within AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling, were quick to deny the claims. These insiders made it clear: Mercedes Moné does not have creative control over her match outcomes. They weren't vague about it either. They said flat out, "We've never heard of such a clause, and she's never used that kind of power." The idea that Mercedes was pulling strings backstage, rewriting finishes to her advantage, simply doesn't hold up, at least, not according to those who would know. So then what's really going on? Why hasn't Mercedes Moné lost a single match in AEW? Why does it feel like she's being protected at all costs? Well, according to the report, the answer lies in strategy, not manipulation. AEW sees her as a major investment, someone who instantly raises the profile of their women's division. The source close to both companies stated that losing hasn't even been brought up yet. It's not a matter of her refusing to lose, it's that the question of her losing hasn't been on the table at all. From day one, the goal has been clear: make her feel like a star, keep her undefeated, build the brand around her. It's a deliberate push, not a political move. But if you really want to peek into the kind of performer Mercedes is backstage, you don't need rumors. You just need to look at what happened during her 2023 match against Willow Nightingale for the New Japan Strong Women's Championship. In that match, Mercedes sustained a legitimate injury mid-bout. The original plan was for her to go over, to win, but she made a split-second call. She changed the finish herself. She knew she couldn't continue safely, and rather than forcing a fake outcome or pushing through recklessly, she chose to lose. That's not the action of someone obsessed with protecting their image at all costs. That's the behavior of someone who respects the business, the audience, and the performers around her. It's professionalism, not ego. So where did all this talk of creative control even come from? Part of it likely stems from her on-screen character. The CEO persona isn't subtle. It's powerful, brash, commanding, and it sells the idea that Mercedes runs the show both inside and outside the ring. But just because she plays the part convincingly doesn't mean it reflects the reality backstage. Multiple people familiar with AEW's creative process have said that her character is exactly that, a character. She's not in the writer's room dictating outcomes. She's not holding anyone hostage with contract clauses. What you're seeing is a tightly controlled, smartly executed brand identity. Still, even if the creative control rumors are false, there's a separate conversation to be had, one that's been gaining traction. That question is, who has Mercedes Moné elevated in AEW since her arrival? Critics argue that while she's been dominant, her presence hasn't necessarily lifted others around her. They point out that outside of her own spotlight, the division hasn't seen major elevation, but her supporters push back. They credit her with helping raise the profile of wrestlers like Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale. Even if she's not directly handing out pushes, her matches and feuds have helped bring more eyes to others. Whether you see her as a spotlight hog or a rising tide lifting all boats depends on your perspective, but it's a valid debate, and one that AEW should be paying attention to. This brings us to a broader issue, a challenge that AEW has been facing with its women's division for a while now. The promotion has been excellent at signing talent. They've brought in stars from all over the world, but signing stars is one thing, building them is another, and for a lot of critics, AEW hasn't done enough to create new, homegrown names that can carry the division long-term. Mercedes stands out because she arrived as a fully formed star. She brought legacy, audience recognition, and mainstream buzz. But what happens when her run ends? Who takes that spot? Are there enough women being built up to continue the momentum? That's a concern AEW can't afford to ignore. It's also important to look at Mercedes in the context of her peers. In AEW, there are a few standout female stars, Toni Storm, Britt Baker, even Saraya during her run, but none have the same kind of crossover appeal or global star power that Mercedes brings. In New Japan, she's unquestionably their biggest female draw. That level of influence doesn't come cheap, and it didn't. Reports indicate that Mercedes signed one of the most lucrative contracts in wrestling history when she came to AEW. At the time of signing, she was believed to be the highest-paid female wrestler in the business, even above names like Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. Though Becky may have surpassed that with her new deal, the point remains, Mercedes isn't just a wrestler, she's an investment. And like any big investment, there's an expectation of return. AEW didn't write her a massive check just to fill a slot on the card. They brought her in to move numbers, to sell tickets, to push merch, and to get people talking. And in that sense, the booking strategy makes sense. Keeping her strong, undefeated, and spotlighted helps justify the cost. But again, there's a balance that has to be struck. If AEW wants long-term success, they can't rely on outside stars forever. They need to create their own, and they need to do it while the big stars are still around to help. So, where does that leave us? At the end of the day, the rumors about Mercedes Moné having creative control appear to be just that, rumors. There's no solid evidence, no credible insider backing the claim. In fact, there's more evidence pointing the other direction. She's followed the booking plan, she's shown professionalism when plans had to change, and she's worked within the system, not above it. Her undefeated run isn't the result of politics, it's the result of positioning. AEW wanted her to feel like a star, and guess what? She does. You might not like her, you might think she's overbooked, you might think she's been given too much too soon. That's your opinion, but facts are facts. Mercedes Moné is one of the most valuable stars in AEW today. She draws attention, she creates buzz, she delivers in the ring, and in a business built on perception and presence, that's everything. The real test, though, won't be how long she stays undefeated. It'll be what AEW does with that momentum. Will they use it to elevate others? Will they build a stronger division around her? Or will they let the moment fade when her run eventually ends? Because one way or another, it will end. No one stays on top forever, not even the boss.